Hey dads, first I want to announce that my book, Father Friend, How Intentional Dads Lean In, Lead Well, and Love Big, is being published by Morgan James Publishing, and the release date, the day it will be in bookstores, is January 26, 2027. Now, I know that seems like a long way off, but there's a strategy there with seasons of the year, of course, and buying cycles of bookstores. So you will find it at all major bookstores at that time. However, you can pre-order the book, and by doing so before Father's Day, June 21st, you will receive an early release signed print copy of the book. I'm going to mail it to you, sent to you, or signed to and sent to the person of your choosing, whoever that may be. Also, if you pre-order, you will receive an early release ebook of Father Friend. Plus, just as an incentive, if you pre-order before Father's Day, you will be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card to your favorite father-child activity. It can be Main Event, Shenanigans, Pen Stack, Strike and Reel, you name the place, and we send it to you. But you've got to pre-order by Father's Day, June 21st, to be eligible for all this. So go to fatherfriendbook.com. That's fatherfriendbook.com to sign up for pre-order and for these free gifts. Now, today I'm beginning a new series that will run through the summer. It's called Fatherhood on Purpose, and we're going to dig into intentional fathering, the power of purpose, and what it takes to live it out as a dad. Because the question is not whether you love your kids. Almost every man I know loves their children. The question is whether you will love them intentionally and not let the years just drift by without making the most of the small window of time you have with them. Listen, 90% of the time you will spend with your child in their entire life, get that, their whole life occurs before the age of 13. So most fathers don't fail because they don't love their kids. They fail because they've never consciously really decided what kind of father they would be. Life gets busy and complicated, and all of a sudden your kids are out of the house. And that can lead to regret. And I want to call you to something better. So we're going to talk about doing this thing called fatherhood with purpose. But before we dive into the content of this series, I want to talk first in this first episode about something a little different. I want to introduce myself to you. Some of you don't know my backstory. So I want to give you a sense of who I am, what brought me to this work, and why I believe so deeply in what I call the father-friend model. It all really started at a dinner table when I was 18 years old. It was the first time I visited my youth pastor's home. Joey and his wife invited me over. And as I sat around the table with them and their 3-year-old son, I watched them talk, laugh, and just be a family. For them, it was completely an ordinary evening, but for me, even though it sounds hard to believe, it was something I'd never really seen up close. After dinner, Joey said, "Okay, Russ, it's bedtime," and directed his son down the hall to go with mom to bed. Then he said, "Come give me a hug first." Russ climbed out of his chair and walked over to Joey. Joey pulled him into a big hug and gave him one of those tickle kisses, the kind where you dig your whiskers into your kid's neck and they squeal and squirm and can't decide if they want to escape or stay there forever. Then Joey said, "I love you, buddy," and he sent him down the hallway with a little pat on the butt. It was a 30-second moment that I never forgot. Growing up in a troubled home, I had never really seen what a loving father looked like. But that night, and in the months that followed, Joey showed me. I'd eat with his family and help him watch his kids. We'd pull weeds together in the backyard, repair his fence, piddle in the garage, and along the way, we'd just talk. And through all of that, I watched Joey love and lead his children. Deep down, I knew I wanted what Joey had, the joy and fulfillment of being that kind of dad. What I was watching at that dinner table was the kind of intentional fathering I had no template for. I only knew it was what I wanted to become. Years later, I would have the opportunity to become that kind of father myself. Matt Haig captures this deep, sudden love that fathers have and puts into words what I was seeking. Here's what he wrote. Let me read it for you. He said, "I loved her instantly. Of course, most parents love their children instantly. But I mention it here because I still find it a remarkable thing. Where was that love before? Where did I acquire it from? The way it is suddenly there, total and complete, as sudden as grief, but in reverse, is one of the greatest wonders about being human." Now, I read that years ago and I thought, yes, that's it. That's exactly it. That love that comes from nowhere and fills everything all at once. So I was 30 years old the first time I felt it. I was married at 26, and my wife and I carefully planned for the time when we would have kids. We waited 3 years and then made the decision that it was time. And on November 29th, 1992, I cradled our firstborn son in my arms, a boy named Ryan. In that moment, something flooded through me that I wasn't fully prepared for, even though I'd spent months anticipating it. There's no adequate word for it. Awe comes close, fear comes close. It was the kind of moment that reorders a man's life, where something shifts inside you and you realize completely and without question that nothing will ever be the same. It's a feeling I believe most fathers know well, that sacred mix of wonder, weight, and worship when you hold your child for the first time and the responsibility of it all suddenly lands. In that moment, I looked down at Ryan's face, and I remember making a solemn promise in my heart. I remember clearly thinking and feeling, I'm going to give this boy my very best. So a child was born that day, but so was a father. You get it. You felt it too. It's that overwhelming love God puts in the heart of a man for his children. But here's something I've come to believe. As powerful as love is not enough. Loving a child and becoming a great dad are two different things. I don't mean that coldly. I mean it in the most practical, honest way I know. Loving your child is the starting line. It's the fuel in the tank, the thing that gets you out of bed at 2 a.m. and keeps you in the game long after the excitement of new parenthood has worn off. Love gets you in the game, but intentional fathering is what you do once you're there. It keeps you in the game. It's the weight and the responsibility you carry along with it. Ben Fountain described that weight. Here's what he wrote. Let me read it for you. He said, "Much of life, fatherhood included, is the story of knowledge acquired too late." And boy, isn't that true? If only, he says this, if only I'd known then what I know now, how much smarter, abler, stronger I would have been. But nothing really prepares you for kids, for the swells of emotion that roll through your chest like the rumble of boulders tumbling downhill, nor the all-enveloping labor of it all, the sheer mullish endurance you need for the 600 or 700 discrete tasks that have to be done each and every day. Yes, that's it. The sheer mullish endurance it takes to be a dad. I love that phrase because it's so honest about what fathering actually costs. It demands grit, determination, persistence, the kind of work that doesn't end when the workday does. It isn't just feeling the joy of your kids, it's carrying the weight and walking the long path of responsibility and influence with them. And that takes endurance. The midnight fevers and the early mornings, stepping up when you'd rather check out, carrying your worry quietly when your family needs your strength, making hundreds of sacrifices that no one sees, no one applauds, no one counts. Good men carry that weight every single day for the ones who call you dad. Now, I've known that weight myself. This isn't a subject I've only written about or taught in a seminar. It's something I felt in my bones, something I've lived with real setbacks, real growth, and more course corrections than you can imagine. I'm the dad of three incredible young adults, Ryan, Brandon, and Kaylee. I've walked with them through the full range of family life: sleepless nights with newborns, t-ball games, Boy Scouts, friendships and sleepovers, trips to the ER, braces, cheerleading, church camps, basketball, the painfully awkward middle school years, teenage heartbreaks, hard conversations I wasn't sure how to have, college send-offs, and most recently, weddings and grandkids, all while watching them grow into an authentic relationship with Jesus. It's been a beautiful, chaotic, deeply rewarding adventure, and it's shaped me more profoundly than anything else in my life. And like a lot of dads, I grew up without a healthy example of fatherhood. When my kids were born, I quickly realized I was mostly winging it, hoping love and good intentions would carry the day. So I became a student at that time. I dove into parenting books, research, and anything I could find. I started fathering with intention, not perfectly, but deliberately, on purpose, with thought and strategy. My years in higher education taught me how young people develop and what they need most from the adults in their lives. My doctoral research focused on leadership and its connection to identity formation in children and adolescents, insights that proved invaluable for understanding my own kids and learning how to guide them through each stage of their life. 25 years as a pastor put me in personal conversations with exhausted fathers, heartbroken parents, and families at their breaking point. I've sat with single parents feeling completely isolated. I've walked alongside families raising children with special needs. I've been in the room for nearly every kind of family crisis imaginable. Parents overwhelmed by strong-willed toddlers, others devastated by rebellious teenagers, couples barely holding it together and not sure where to turn. Those years taught me something important. Most dads are committed and determined. They love their kids and they're genuinely trying, but they're working with limited tools and unclear expectations, figuring it out as they go, hoping they just don't mess up their kids. I was no exception. My story isn't tidy and without failure. I've had many moments I wish I could redo, and you'll hear about some of them as this series unfolds. But despite the mistakes that I made and the hard seasons, here's what I did right. I loved my kids with everything I had, and probably most importantly, I didn't quit. Even when I felt lost, even when I failed, I kept showing up. That mullish endurance, it matters more than most dads realize. 2 decades of experience, pastoral, academic, and personal, revealed certain patterns that hold true across families and situations. And over the past 10 years, I've shaped those patterns into an approach to intentional fathering that I call the father-friend model. It's grounded in the wisdom of Scripture, informed by research on child development, shaped by years of ministry with real families, and tested in the trenches of my own fatherhood. Not perfect advice from a perfect dad, but honest insights from the journey, and a framework designed to help you think more clearly and act more intentionally in your role as a father. So over the next 7 episodes, we're going to cover the ground that matters most. We'll start with the father's heart, that God-given pull toward your kids that you can't fully explain and wouldn't trade for anything. From there, we'll dig into what it really means to show up with presence and courage every day. We'll explore why purpose is the only real antidote to drift. We'll define what a father-friend actually is and why the concept matters in a world full of passive dads on one end and emotionally absent dads on the other. We'll talk honestly about how our wounds quietly shape our parenting and what it takes to break old cycles. And we'll close the series with the habits that turn good intentions into lasting impact. This series is designed to work as a whole, each episode building on what came before, but each one also stands on its own. Come back to them, share them with other dads. Use them as a conversation starter with your spouse or in a small group. And if you're moving through this as a part of the Father Friend course, take the episodes in order, engage with the growth questions, and give yourself space to actually think rather than just consume. The goal isn't just information, it's transformation. So who is this series for? Well, you would say it's for dads. Not quite. This series is for the thinking dad, the intentional, strategic father who isn't content to just get by, the dad who wants to understand not just what to do, but why it matters, the dad who's willing to look honestly at himself, do the work, and keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when he's unsure, even when yesterday didn't go the way that he had hoped. That's what this series offers. Not a list of parenting hacks, but a mindset for thinking like an intentional dad, built around one compelling vision: becoming your child's father friend. In a culture that treats fatherhood as optional and underestimates the impact of strong, loving men in the lives of their children, we know better. Fatherhood is a sacred calling, and in this series, I'm asking you to answer it, because being a dad is too important to guess your way through. Done with intention, it becomes one of life's most demanding and most rewarding assignments, one that will stretch you, challenge you, and humble you in ways nothing else will. But I promise you, it's worth it. My kids are grown now. I've watched them become adults that I genuinely enjoy and respect. People of faith, people of character. Not because I was a perfect dad. Most of their success has been a result of God's grace, lots of prayer, and their mother, which also goes to the purpose that you seek as a father. So my kids are not great because I'm that great of a father, but partly because I sought to be an intentional one. And I believe the same is possible for you. So if you're a thinking dad, intentional, strategic, committed to growing, and you're ready to explore what it means to become a father friend, then let's get to work with open hands, a teachable heart, and faith for the journey ahead. I'll see you in episode 1.